high drama. Did we go Bughouse over the shows we saw?
Bughouse is an exquisite production taken from the autobiography of Henry Darger, a 20th century outsider artist who worked as a janitor and illustrated a 1,500-page epic about a group of young girls who fought in a rebellion. Director Martha Clark and playwright Beth Henley have set their record straight. A very tasteful production at the Vineyard includes animation and projections of Darger's art snaking around his isolated living space. John Kelly plays the older Henry Darger, writing his memoirs in the late 60s and telling his story about losing his mother, being taken from a disabled father, and consigned to the care of judgmental parochial charities. Labeled feeble-minded, he managed to escape and achieve independence. And according to his own narrative, he reads newspaper accounts of missing children and constructs a fantasy narrative in which other young girls fight back and become the resistance forces, not unlike the early work of Andy Warhol tracing from magazines. I give it a big happy face.
Richard Maltby Jr. and David Shire's About Time, now playing at the Marjorie S. Dean Little Theater, is a musical review that trades a traditional plot for something a little more reflective. Instead of a straight narrative, the show moves through a series of songs and moments centered on life a little further down the road. Memory, relationships, getting older, and yes, the daily struggle of just keeping track of your keys all make their way in. It sounds like it could lean heavy, but it mostly doesn't. The tone stays light, even playful, with bits of honesty slipping in when you least expect them. The cast really understands the assignment here. Nobody's pushing too hard. They just let the material breathe. Darius DeHaas finds comedy in the smallest details. Sally Wilford shifts effortlessly between funny and sincere, and Daniel Jenkins knows exactly how long to hold a joke without overdoing it. The staging is simple. 2 pianos, musicians in full view, nothing flashy. It gives the whole thing a relaxed, almost retro concert feel that works in its favor. If there's a drawback, it's the length. At just over 2 hours, you start to feel the stretch a bit. But this isn't a show trying to dazzle you. It's smaller, more personal, and very aware of what it is. And that confidence makes it easy to settle in and just enjoy the ride. This gets a happy face from me.
Yes, and I love the first act because every song was something that I could totally personally relate to. It's like, oh yes, that's going on in my life right now. And Lynn Wintersteller, who you might remember from Closer Than Ever, who sings that song, I'm Not Complaining. Well, she gets the chance to complain here. Good for her. And Eddie Corbish, who kind of leads it all and puts it all together and gets it all started. He's always like this wonderful, delightful, impish character. And Daniel Jenkins, he's grown up since Big, and he's now this wonderful character actor. And I just love this. When Allison K. Daniel was like powerhouse, and it just was this incredible cast. And it was just stuff you just love to think about and smile over, and they have beautiful voices. And Marsha Milgram Dodge did the choreography, so this gets a major happy face from me too.
Alex Lynn's Chinese Republicans follows 4 women who gather for a monthly affinity group meeting where they tackle questions about assimilation, intergenerational conflict, and gender politics, all while trying to climb the corporate ladder amidst the ruthlessness of modern capitalism. Alex Lynn dives headfirst into the absurdity and the reality of these women's lives and explores with ferocious humor what they are willing to sacrifice in order to succeed. What's interesting about this production is that you have these Asian women all in different age groups who are basically in this for the career that they feel they deserve, as opposed to being the token Asian in their department. The performances are vibrant. They are incredible. Helming this production is the Obie winning director Che Yu, who's been working with Alex on this piece for the last few years. And now here we have it at Roundabout. The cast now, Jennifer Akita, Julie Lee, Jodie Long, and Anna Zavelson are pretty damn incredible. The one who really does have the biggest learning curve is the woman who plays Katie, this young girl who is being mentored by somebody who's got so much dirt on so many people, but has kept her mouth shut in order to succeed, as opposed to threatening people in succeeding. It's an interesting take on what it means to climb up the corporate ladder, especially in that very, very tight niche of working in a large white man's world and being, in your area, the only woman of color. I give this 2 thumbs up. It is a major work by a major playwright.
Rove Reddick's Cold War choir practice, now playing at MCC Theater through March 29th, drops us into 1987 with a young girl named Meek, played by Alana Raquel Bowers, a fractured family, which includes Virgie, played by Crystal Finn, Smooch, Meek's dad, played by Will Cobbs, and Virgie's husband named Clay, played by Andy Lucian, and of course, Puddin', played by the wonderful Lisanne Mitchell.
Who is the grandmother and the mother?
So what starts as a holiday visit quickly unravels into something much stranger, pulling in Cold War paranoia, espionage, cult-like energy, and somehow a children's choir sitting right in the center of it all. And yes, you'll spend the first 10 minutes wondering, is this a play with music or a musical pretending not to be? The answer is kind of both, and oddly, it works. The production leans fully into the chaos. The space is drenched in this intense, almost aggressive red that immediately puts you on edge. And from there, the show just keeps layering ideas on top of each other. Sometimes it's hilarious, sometimes it's unsettling, and sometimes it's both at the exact same time.
Yes. And it was kind of exciting because Grace McLean played this mysterious redheaded kind of Russian Mata Hari spy, and she kind of popped in and out, and I don't know how she got in and out and through things and voices. The thing is, you've got to suspend your disbelief in this. There's no logic. There's nothing like to hang your brain on, but it doesn't matter because it's just so magical and exciting and interesting the way it's all put together with this real family that's sort of unreal, and it's with the politics going on right now. It's really very good, and Nude Adams did a wonderful job of directing this. So I mean, I'm giving this a happy face.
And I'm going to give it a happy face as well. The music was the real standout here, and that's really what gave me the happy face here.
Chekhov's Ivanov is a rather gloomy individual who whines and complains while his long-suffering wife Anna is dying of tuberculosis, but no one tells her. Meanwhile, Ivanov owes Zenaida a great deal of money. Misha, a steward of Ivanov's estate, has daft ideas on how to make money for him to help clear off his debts. Zenaida's daughter Sasha has a crush on Ivanov and pursues him. Malicious humor is provided by the Count, who is also pursuing a wealthy widow. Ivanov's wife was Jewish but converted to marry Ivanov and got herself disinherited. This is an excuse to make some anti-Semitic remarks which gave me pause, but that is the way people thought back then and sadly still do. But I was never under the impression that Chekhov was anti-Semitic. He just liked to comment on the absurdity of the human condition. It's so nice to see someone who actually knows how to properly direct a Chekhov play. Michael DeFlippis brings out the comedy with his slapstick-like pacing, yet he still brings out the nuances of tragedy underlying the comedy. Splendidly acted and nice to see a seldom done Chekhov play. Happy face plus.
Peter Kellogg and Stephen Weiner's Monte Cristo, a new musical, now playing at Theater at St. Jean's with the York Theatre Company, brings Alexander Dumas's revenge story to the stage with all the classic ingredients. We follow Edmond Dantes, a young sailor whose life is derailed by the people closest to him, including the slippery Caderousse and the calculating Villefort, while his love, Mercedes, is left behind in the fallout. After being falsely accused of treason and locked away for years, Edmond escapes, reinvents himself, and comes back with a plan to dismantle everyone who played a role in his downfall. What caught me off guard here is the tone. I didn't expect this to be funny, but there are moments that genuinely are. Not over the top, just enough to shift the energy. Danny Rutigliano as Caderousse leans into that and brings a looseness that the show really needs, and Karen Ziemba as Carcant, Caderousse's wife, grounds it so it doesn't spin off completely.
Sierra Boggess as Mercedes sounds exactly how you want her to sound. Every time she steps forward, the show sharpens. Adam Jacobs has a lot of heavy lifting to do as Edmund, and while the role keeps him a bit stuck in plot mode, he holds it together. The score is solid, very traditional musical theater, and the band sounds great throughout. Where it struggles a bit is pacing. There's a lot of story to cover, a lot of characters to introduce, and even though it's streamlined, it can feel rushed, like big moments pass before they fully land. But it's clearly a polished production with a lot of care behind it. It doesn't fully lock into place, but it's engaging, and really, I didn't expect to laugh, and I didn't mind that at all. Also, it needs to be noted that Norm Lewis's Villefort is barely there, and it feels like a missed opportunity. So this one gets a mixed face plus from me.
First off, the scenic and costume design for a little off-Broadway company like your theater company, they broke open that piggy bank. They shook every single coin loose. And it is a gorgeous physical production with scenic costumes, lighting, and to put a cast together where you have Adam Jacobs, Sarah Boggess, Norm Lewis, just one of them would be a selling point of the show. But to have those three people and the glorious Karen Ziemba, I mean, everything she touches, she turns to gold, in the same show is pretty damn amazing. So it makes me think that they really do have it in their heads to move this show. This show is not going to die on East 76th Street. They are inviting a lot of people with money to get this show moving. Otherwise, they wouldn't have put Norm Lewis into a small role. Clearly, Norm shines. He actually gets to do his falsetto in this number. You don't know where you hear the music going to these high notes, but you never expect a Norm to meet those high notes where they do. It's some really glorious singing. Adam Jacobs, I'm happy for him that he is creating a really nice career for himself. And I have to say, Sierra Boggess is every time she opens her mouth to sing, it is an event. It is just really, really wonderful. I think it's a great score. I do have to agree that there's some kind of pacing needed to be like really, really enforced in this, because even though it's only like 2 hours and 25 minutes, or it feels longer. And I think maybe it's because it has all of that history to cover. I still give it a major happy face, because I'm really glad that somebody got the idea to put this show on so that we could see it. It's amazing that this book has not been a musical until now. It's really a wonderful story. So again, major happy face.
Antigone in Analysis by Barbara Barclay, directed by Rolf Lewis, is at La Mama, and they have really messed it up. It is not like real Antigone. It is Antigone because Antigone is trying to bury her dead brother Polyneices, and Creon, who's supposed to be the king, has put a death penalty on her if she does that. But in this play, it's very different. It's like a thesis program, PhD thesis. There are philosophers, psychiatrists, feminists, and they're giving a talk and discussion and go back and forth. And they are just like saying things which do not exist in Antigone at all. It works as a lecture in a classroom, but it does not work on stage, and I did not like it at all. But I did like a beautiful woman. She comes on a very short time. She sings a short operetta. Her name is Freya Holland Hoy. Is the highlight of the whole show. And Alessandra Lopez as Antigone was not very bad, but she was not given the chance to shine. And it's a mixed review.
Anna Ziegler's Antigone, this play I read in high school, currently at the Public Theater, takes a story most of us vaguely remember and drops it right into the middle of today's cultural debates. A young woman stands up to the state and refuses to give up control over her own body, putting her on a collision course with Creon, a ruler determined to maintain order no matter the cost. Instead of focusing on burial rights, this version reframes Antigone's rebellion through bodily autonomy, making the central conflict feel immediate and very modern. Susanna Perkins brings a quiet, steady resolve to Antigone that anchors the production, while Tony Shalhoub gives Creon a worn-down authority that's more complicated than villainous. Celia Keenan Bolger, as the chorus, guides us through both the original myth and a present-day storyline connecting the dots between past and present. It doesn't always come together cleanly. The script can circle its ideas, and a few characters feel a bit thin. But when it lands, it really lands. It's thoughtful, it's uncomfortable, and it asks you to sit with questions that still don't have any easy answers. There was this one part where Antigone explores the history of her body, which, when I looked around the audience, a lot of the audience members felt uncomfortable about, especially a teen that was sitting on the front row. However, it's still a wonderful production, so I'm giving this a happy face plus.
Currently showing at Studio Seaview is David Cale's The Unknown, a one-man play starring Sean Hayes, formerly of Will and Grace. Directed by Lee Silverman, this is a 75-minute performance that highlights and showcases Mr. Hayes's pretty amazing acting and vocal abilities. Basically, the storyline is that he is a well-known author and songwriter struck with writer's block. So his friends offer him their house in the woods, which is very remote, no cell phone service, no internet, no neighbors. And right off the bat, if you like horror movies, you know that something's going to happen that's not good. And that's what happens. He's in the house. Somebody is off in the woods singing a song that he wrote, and nobody's supposed to know that he's up there. So he goes back to New York, goes to Julius's, the gay bar in the West Village, to get some booze, meets this guy who it turns out was the man in the woods singing. And this is Keith, who tried out for the play that the song was in, didn't make it, and now has taken to following Jack around like his shadow. And that's all pretty straightforward. And from there, the play devolves into this sort of murky, okay, who is Keith? Suddenly this guy comes along who claims he is Keith's twin brother. His name is Jack. Elliot, the Sean Hayes character, is interested in Jack romantically, but does Jack exist? Does Keith exist? By the end of the play, you're wondering if Elliot exists. I mean, this thing really turned into this maze-like production. I can't fault Mr. Hayes. He was amazing. Every single one of his characters, and he played about a dozen of them, was thoroughly delineated. There was no spillover where you thought, oh, you know, here he sounds like that character. No. He had 12 distinct characters. He did them well. He acted well. But the plot, such as it was, just, as I said in my written review, it reminded me of T.S. Eliot, that things end with a bang, not with a whimper, because everything just sort of trailed off in the end, and I personally was left scratching my head.
No, I just have to say, I have to chime in because that's funny you should say that you should say scratching your head. We do not discuss our reviews beforehand. This is what I said. I said, David Cale is a master at a shaggy dog story, full of twists and turns with a wallop at the end. This time around was a real shock and head scratcher.
Yeah.
So lots of discussion came afterwards. You're thinking about it a long time. I mean, that's the genius of David Cale. See, I happen to love David Cale. I'm used to his style of writing. This is your first time exposed to David Cale. So maybe and this was not a good one. Too bad it wasn't Blue Cowboy. But anyway, it just takes you along, and you're totally like, leaning forward, you're like, oh my God, it's such a good story. But then at the end, which, we don't want to spoil anything, we're like, wow. And you have to think about it, and you have to discuss it, and you're not sure. But then again, you think about everything that happened before. So this play stays with you a long time. So for me, this gets like my usual, I love David Cale, but I'm giving this a little bit of a happy face minus this time around, just because it was a bit like,
Well, I gave it a mixed face because half of the happy face was definitely Sean Hayes' acting.
Amazing.
The other half was like, yeah, no, I didn't really get it. And I will have to look out for Mr. Cale's work. But this to me was just so puzzling. And it basically, I didn't get the message that he was obviously trying to impart. It just sort of went right by my head. Mixed face.
Shakespeare's Hamlet, presented by Teatro La Plaza and Theater for a New Audience, adapted and directed by Sheila De Ferrari, is now playing for a limited time at the Polonsky Shakespeare Center in Brooklyn. This version keeps the bones of the story: Prince Hamlet wrestling with revenge, Claudius sitting on a stolen crown, Ophelia caught in the middle of it all, but it's told through a full ensemble where roles shift and overlap, so Hamlet doesn't belong to just one person. And that's kind of the point. Also, it's presented in Spanish with English surtitles. This isn't a clean, linear retelling. It's looser, more personal, constantly questioning who gets to tell the story in the first place. And somehow, it really works. There's so much joy coming off that stage. Not forced, not polished, just real. This cast knows how to work a room. You feel the audience leaning in with them. Jamie Cruz even gets a surprise assist during To Be or Not to Be with a video call from Sir Ian McClellan, which turns into this wild, hilarious shadow play moment with Laurence Olivier. It shouldn't work, but it absolutely does. Is it always clear? Not really. The story can blur a bit, but honestly, that stops mattering, because what stays with you is the connection, the humor, and the way this production opens Hamlet up instead of locking it down. I've seen lots of Hamlets. This might be the first one that feels this joyful, so this definitely gets a joyous happy face from me.
One thing that my colleague here has left for me to say is that the entire cast has Down syndrome, and we've never seen a show like this before, not in New York. And this is something, again, I'm a huge person on a soapbox for anybody with a handicap trying to create a career for themselves. It is absolutely beautiful. And the whole concept, I think, like, everything is being stolen from Karen Coonrod about taking a major Shakespeare role and divide it up amongst as many good actors as you can possibly lay your hands on. Here we have 8 young people, all with Down syndrome, taking their shots at Hamlet. And it is one of the most moving things you could see in New York right now. It's beautiful in every sense of the word. I give it a major, major happy face.
Theater Breaking Through Barriers has a new showcase written and about folks with disabilities. Eva Heinemann will add her reviews to our Facebook post as well. In Laura Kessler's Redemption, a Jew tries to rescue Jesus off the cross, but the judge doesn't understand. In Adam Wynn's Buffalo, a cowgirl falling in manure totally changes her perspective. John Patrick Shanley's The Upside Down Man is about the recent scandal of a sleeping, raped French wife and a first date about a Voltaire lecturer who discussed the person he's on a date with. Catherine Grant's The Calling Moral Dilemma of Random Drug Testing between newly clean and a lapsed individual. Becca Brunstetter's play Forgotten Corners of Your Dark, Dark Place is a mysterious women's support group on how to achieve orgasm by yourself. Kate Allen's The Body is a Waiting Room for Ghosts is how to quell deceased parents talking to you with unsolicited advice about a wonderful husband. Jeff Tabnick's How the Universal Soul Spends its Sunday asks how quote-unquote normal people spend their free time, if we accept these definitions. In The Magic Show, written and performed by Mark Winsky, a magician captivates people in spite of or because of his stutter. And in Diptymeda's Sounds of Stillness, we learn about measuring life in meditative moments. I give it a big happy face.
My Joy is Heavy, a delightful show at the New York Theater Workshop, is an autobiographical musical memoir by Sean Bankston and Abigail Bankston, who are a couple. They have a child named Louis, but they want another child, and they've been having lots of problems because she's been having miscarriages, and they go through a lot of pain. This is COVID time, and they moved to their mother's house, and they're trying to have another baby. And she's been going for fertility treatments, and she's very nervous about that. And then she's expecting a positive pregnancy, but she is just so obsessed with this negativity that she can't relax. But finally, they decide they need to be happy, and they sing a very fabulous song, Let Us Be Happy. And it's a very melodious, she's a wonderful voice. I enjoy the show very much. The set is fantastic. The video design is by David Bengali, is incredible. And they are very lively and very funny and very tragic. And it's a great show. And I give a happy face.
Libby Carr's Calf Scramble is about high school girls who capture calves during the calf scramble to raise them and auction them off for money. It is 2007, and Sophie is hoping to use the $6,000 she is expecting from the auction to leave town. Her BFF Elle just wants to use the money to get Rihanna tickets. There is intrigue between Vivi and Anna Lee. Marin wants to keep swearing out of the barn. There's the usual teen angst with the mean girl, goofy girl, discontented girl, rich and poor, and parental problems. They are all scrambling to survive their youth and better their lives. The way the cast switch from being human to calves is astounding and adorable. Their hopes and fears are all valid to their characters. Even the meanest one I can feel empathy towards, as they are just so human, even when they are not. Happy Face Plus. And now for our theater listings. Our next show is April 18th. And this is just a small amount because I just didn't have time to, but there's a lot going on. So check for lots of stuff. Special events, a Hotsy-Totsy burlesque tribute to Keanu Reeves. That should be such a hoot. That's going to be Thursday, April 9th at the Slipper Room. The New York City Fringe Festival is starting, and it's going to be going till April 18th or 19th. And at Joe's Pub is something I saw at National Alliance of Musical Theater. Going on April 13th and 14th is Yoko's Husband's Killer's Japanese Wife Gloria. It's hilarious. And at the Public Theater, lots going on. Antigone closes April 12th, but you've also got Public Charge and Jessa closing April 12th. And at La Mama, you got I think this is a great title, The Iguana Becomes Marco closing April 5th, and Torn Pages is doing Spider Rabbit April 12th, and Kremov Lab, New York City's Uncle Vanya is going on until April 12th. And closing April 12th also is Origami Night and Erotomania at Target Margin. And don't forget our favorites, 92NY, Here, Soho Playhouse, The Tank, 54 Below, and Theater for the New City. And last chance to see this April 4th, H.G. Wells, The Croquet Player. Everyone have a decent Pesach and a happy Easter.